You wake up because someone next to you is making a strange sound, a loud, repetitive noise coming from someone who is supposed to be completely asleep, snoring. And it's more common than you think. Around 40% of adult men and 25 to 30% of adult women regularly snore. Even children can snore, with around 10% experiencing regular symptoms. But why does this happen? Why do some people sleep silently while others sound like a machine all night? In this video, we'll answer what exactly is snoring and how does it happen. Why are men more likely to snore than women? Why do some people snore while others don't? Why do children snore, and when is it dangerous? Does your lifestyle and diet affect snoring, and can you actually reduce or stop it? Let's find out. After you fall asleep, something interesting happens inside your body. Your brain doesn't completely shut down, but many of your muscles become relaxed. This includes the muscles in your throat while you're awake. The muscles around your airway help keep the passage open, so air can move freely in and out of your lungs, but during sleep, these muscles relax, and for some people, the space where air travels becomes slightly narrower. When air tries to pass through this smaller opening, it causes the soft tissues in your throat to vibrate. That vibration creates the sound we call snoring. So the sound is not coming from your lungs, it is not your breathing itself, it is the movement of soft tissues in your airway. Think of it like blowing air through a narrow opening. The tighter the space, the more vibration you get. The same thing happens inside your throat while you sleep, but here's the interesting part. Almost everyone experiences some narrowing of the airway during sleep. So why do only some people make that loud sound? Why can one person sleep quietly while another person shakes the entire room? The surprising thing about snoring is that it is not caused by one single problem. It happens when a few small changes inside your airway combine together. Imagine your throat as a soft tunnel that air travels through every second of the night. When this tunnel stays open, air moves quietly. But when the space becomes smaller, the air starts pushing against the soft tissues around it. Those tissues begin to move, and that movement creates the sound of snoring. The reason some people have a narrower airway is because every human body is built differently. The size and shape of your throat, the position of your jaw, and the amount of space inside your mouth can all affect how easily air passes while you sleep. Even the shape of your tongue can matter. When you're awake, your muscles are constantly working to hold everything in position. But when you fall asleep, those muscles relax. For some people, that small relaxation is enough to create vibration. For others, the airway remains open and almost no sound is produced. That is why snoring is not simply about being tired or sleeping deeply. It is a physical difference in the way air moves through the body during sleep. But there is one group of people who are much more likely to experience this problem than others. Men. So why do men snore more often than women? If you compare the number of people who snore, one pattern quickly appears. Men are more likely to snore than women. Studies estimate that around 40% of adult men regularly snore, compared with about 25 to 30% of adult women. But why is there such a difference? The answer starts with anatomy. On average, men tend to have different airway structures compared to women. The male airway is often larger, but it can also be more likely to collapse during sleep because of differences in the shape and distribution of tissues around the neck and throat. When the muscles relax during sleep, these differences can make the airway easier to narrow. And once the airway becomes narrower, air has less space to move through. That creates stronger vibrations. And stronger vibrations mean louder snoring, but anatomy is only part of the story. Hormones also play a role. Before menopause, women generally have hormones that help maintain muscle tone and affect how fat is stored in the body. After menopause, changes in hormone levels can increase the likelihood of snoring for many women. This is why the difference between men and women becomes smaller as people get older, but there's another surprising group that can snore too. Children. Many people think snoring is only an adult problem, but children can snore as well. And sometimes, unlike adults, it can be a sign that something needs attention. So why do children snore, and when should parents be concerned? Around 10% of children experience regular snoring, and the reason behind it is often different from adults. One of the most common causes in children is something called enlarged tonsils and adenoids. These are tissues that help the immune system fight infections. But in some children, they become larger than normal. And because children already have smaller airways compared to adults, even a small amount of extra tissue can reduce the space where air passes. During sleep, when the muscles of the throat relax, air has to squeeze through this narrower pathway. The result, vibrations, and those vibrations create the sound of snoring. Other children may snore because of nasal congestion from allergies or frequent colds. When the nose is blocked, breathing becomes harder, so the child may start breathing through the mouth, which can increase the chance of snoring. But here's the important question. When is childhood snoring just a harmless sound, and when could it be a warning sign? Occasional snoring, especially during a cold, is usually not a reason for concern. But regular loud snoring can sometimes be connected to a condition called sleep apnea. This happens when the airway becomes blocked enough that breathing briefly stops during sleep. Parents may notice signs like pauses in breathing during sleep, gasping or choking sounds, restless sleep, waking up tired, difficulty concentrating during the day. Think about that. A child may appear to be sleeping for many hours, but their body may not be getting the deep, restful sleep it needs. That is why regular loud snoring in children should not always be ignored. The snoring can tell a lot about you. The way we live every day can also change how likely we are to snore. So the next question is, does your lifestyle and diet affect snoring? Many people think snoring is simply something you're born with, and while your body structure plays a big role, your daily habits can also change what happens while you sleep. One of the biggest factors is body weight. When extra fat builds up around the neck area, it can put more pressure on the airway. This reduces the space available for air to move through. And when the airway becomes narrower, the tissues are more likely to vibrate, creating snoring, but weight is not the only factor. The food and drinks you consume can also affect your sleep. Eating a very heavy meal close to bedtime can make some people sleep less comfortably. And alcohol is another important factor. Alcohol relaxes the muscles in your throat more than normal. This means the airway can become more relaxed and easier to collapse during sleep, which can make snoring louder. Smoking can also play a role. Smoke irritates the tissues inside your nose and throat. Over time, this irritation can cause swelling and make it harder for air to pass smoothly. Your sleep schedule matters too. When you're extremely tired, your muscles may become more relaxed during sleep, and for some people, that extra relaxation can increase the chance of snoring. But here's something important. A person who follows a healthy lifestyle can still snore, and a person with an unhealthy lifestyle may not snore at all. Why? Because snoring is usually the result of several factors working together. Your body shape, your airway, your sleeping habits, and your overall health all play a part. So improving your lifestyle may reduce snoring, but it is not always the complete solution. The good news is that there are several ways to make snoring less common and in some cases stop it completely. So the final question is, can you actually reduce or stop snoring? The solution depends on what is causing it. The first thing to try is changing your sleeping position. For many people, sleeping on the back makes snoring worse because gravity pulls the tongue and soft tissues toward the back of the throat. This reduces the space for air to pass. Sleeping on your side can help keep the airway more open. Some people even use special pillows or simple techniques to help them avoid turning onto their back during sleep. Another effective step is improving your nasal breathing. If your nose is blocked, your body has to work harder to pull air in. This increases the pressure inside your airway and can make the tissues vibrate more. Treating allergies using a saline nasal rinse or addressing chronic nasal congestion can help some people breathe more easily at night. But remember, the problem is not always in the nose. Sometimes it is deeper in the throat. Weight loss is another method that has been shown to reduce snoring in people whose weight contributes to airway narrowing. Even a moderate reduction in body weight can decrease pressure around the neck area and improve airflow during sleep. Exercise can also help, not only because it helps with weight control, but because stronger overall muscle tone may support better breathing patterns. Another important factor is what you do before going to bed. Avoid alcohol close to bedtime because it relaxes the throat muscles and can make snoring much louder. Avoid heavy meals right before sleeping, and try to keep a consistent sleep schedule. Your body functions better when it knows when it is time to sleep. But what about products that promise to stop snoring instantly? Many sprays, gadgets, and quick fixes are advertised online. Some may help certain people, but there is no universal solution that works for everyone. The most effective treatment depends on the real cause. For people with persistent loud snoring, especially when it comes with choking, breathing pauses, or extreme daytime sleepiness, a medical evaluation is important because the problem may not just be snoring, it could be sleep apnea. Doctors can diagnose this condition and recommend treatments such as special breathing devices that keep the airway open during sleep. So the goal is not simply to make the sound disappear. The goal is to understand why it is happening, because sometimes snoring is just an annoying noise, but sometimes it is a message from your body that something needs attention.